Well, hello everyone. I'm Khosrow Deli, IFCC President, welcoming everyone to this first town hall. This is an open forum for discussion among colleagues within the IFCC community. I'm glad that our first town hall is in the European time zone, which means we have colleagues from Europe, from Africa and Middle East, which are approximately in the same time zone. So we will be having a second one with the Asia Pacific region in their time zone, and another one for North America and South America in the next month. So this is the first one, and so that we are trying it. We're going to see how this works out, and we can learn for the future. This is a new program. The idea is to have an annual town hall, so that this is the first year in 21. Hopefully, we could have this the one next some fall and every year after that. So the idea is that we will have a presentations by a number of us, both from the IFCC, EFLM, AFCC, and AFCB. And then we will have, so hopefully all of that will take only about an hour. And then we'll have 2 hours to exchange ideas, ask questions. And I'm happy to tell you that we have 1,800 people registered to participate. They are in the background, you can't see them, but they are listening to us, and they will be able to ask questions through the chat and Q&A. And so the idea is for us to work together between the Regional Federation Board and the IFCC Board. We can try to address as many of the questions as possible. So that's the overall format. We did send you a tentative agenda, which I hope you have seen. I'm going to begin first by having everyone introduce themselves. I think that's ideal. Perhaps we can start with our IFCC board members who are present. Not everyone is able to be present today, but perhaps we can start with our IFCC Secretary, David, please.
Thank you, Khosrow. My name is Dave Kinneber. I am the Secretary for the IFCC Executive Board. I'm a clinical chemist toxicologist located at the Alberta Centre for Toxicology at the University of Calgary in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and very happy to be joining you all for today's town hall. Thank you, Khosrow.
Alex, please.
Good morning. I'm Alexander Chaliasos. I'm the treasurer of the IFCC board, and I'm an MD, a clinical chemist based in Athens, director of reference laboratory Diamedica, but also the Greek External Quality Assurance Scheme, and the president of the Greek Society. I'm happy to be on this first edition of the town hall.
Thank you, Alex. Joseph.
Hello, I'm Joseph Passarelli. I'm the corporate representative for the IFCC. I represent all of the corporations within the IFCC family. I'm affiliated with Roche Diagnostics. I've been with the company for 37 years. And I am joining from the United States, and here it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm very happy to be a part of this, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. So thank you, Khosrow, for the invitation, and I look forward to a good discussion.
Thank you, Joseph. I just wanted to let you know that we have another corporate town hall next week, and that's between the IFCC board and the Alden 49 corporate members, companies. So we're trying to have a dialogue with our corporate members who are very valuable as well. So that's also another town hall coming up. If others would be interested in attending, you're welcome to. So let's see. Anna Maria, would you like to?
Hello, thank you. I'm very excited to be part of this, and congratulations, Khosrow, for the initiative and the organization. The attendance rate is absolutely amazing. My name is Ana Maria Šimundić. I come from Europe, Croatia. I represent EFLM, European Federation of Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine, within the IFCC family. I work in University Hospital Sveti Duh, and I'm the head of the laboratory in that hospital. And I'm also the professor at the Faculty of Pharmacy and Medical Biochemistry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ana Maria, and thank you for joining us. Anna-Lena, please, from Kolabiokli.
Hello, how are you? I'm Anna-Lena. I am the regional representative for Kolabiokli in IFCC. I am chemical chemistry. I am biochemical. I am doctor in chemistry, and I am from Uruguay. It is very nice for me to be with you today. I am also very excited. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Abdul Razak, please, representing the Arab Federation, please. Abdul Razak, you're muted.
Thank you very much, President, for this initiative. I am Idia Abdul Razak from Tunisia. I am Vice President of Arab Federation Geological, and I am the representative of IFCD. I am a professor of toxicology in the pharmacy faculty, Monastir, Tunisia, and the director of research laboratory of toxicological and environmental. And I am a member of all of branch and academy of pharmacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me see. Stephen from our North American Federation.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Hill. I am a clinical biochemist at McMaster University in the Department of Pathology and Molecular Medicine in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I am the representative for the North American Federation of Clinical Chemistry, which is an organization that is created to allow the two North American societies, the American Association of Clinical Chemists and the Canadian Society of Clinical Chemists, to have a voice at the IFCC. So I'm extremely pleased and happy to join you today.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Now, Sunil, are you with us? No, I don't see any other board members with us. So perhaps we could go to our regional federation boards. Ana Maria, would you like to introduce any board members who are present?
Thank you. I think here with us we have Pilar. Pilar, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Pilar Fernandez Cale, who is the, yes, I see you in the room, who is from Spain. Hi, who is from Spain. Pilar is the member at large. We have Professor Tomris Osman, who is the incoming president. So she will be president starting with January 1st. And I think I saw Dalius. Yes, I see Dalius Witkos, who is also the member at large. And I think this is it. So almost four members of the board are present, and we are very excited to be here with you.
Thank you for making the effort. This is really means a lot, and hopefully will lead to a good conversation today. Osama, would you like to introduce yourself and the board, any board members or members from Arab Federation?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Adili. Welcome for all of you, and I am so happy that you are all in a good health. My name is Osama Najjar. I am the president of the AFCP and also the president of the Palestinian Medical Technology Association. I work as general director of laboratories and blood banks in Palestinian Ministry of Health. I think we have here some of my colleagues are, as I see, are found here. Dr. Yusuf Bilto from Jordan, and Dr. Abdelrazak Hedeli, as he mentioned himself, from Tunisia. Also, those are who are found here, as I see from the screen here. Only I have from Jordan, as I informed, Dr. Yusuf Bilto and Dr. Abdelrazak Hedeli from Tunisia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Rajiv, would you like to introduce yourself as well as any of your board members from the African Federation?
Good morning, colleagues, and thank you very much, Khusro, for that introduction. I'm sorry I cannot, I have a bit of a poor connectivity this morning, so immediately I put the video on, I lose the connection, so my apologies for that. So I'm Rajiv Erasmus, and the current president of the Africa Federation. I'm an emeritus professor in the Department of Chemical Pathology at Stellenbosch University in South Africa. And this is really exciting, and we are actually going to new heights in the IFCC, and I'm very positive that these town hall meetings are going to be successful, but more importantly, we are going to get ideas as to how we can move our federation, our federation forward, as well as increase cooperation between the IFCC and the national societies. So once again, many congratulations. I don't see anyone from the board on the screen here. Is Prof. Okishina there? Okay, so we will just end it there. And once again, many congratulations, Khusro.
Thank you. They might be in the background. They may have connected as attendees. So they might be listening to us. They may not be visible. Well, thank you again. I see a number of National Society presidents who have joined us. So I would like you to please go ahead and introduce yourself if you would like to, of course. So perhaps we can start with Tommaso Torrenti, who is the incoming president of the Italian Society. But perhaps anyone else who would like to introduce it. Tommaso, would you like to say anything? Maybe he can't hear us. Anyone else who would like to introduce themselves as National Society presidents?
Hi, I'm Diler Aslan from Turkey. I'm the representative of Turkish Biochemical Society. Thank you very much for this valuable organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Diler. Thank you. Anyone else? Sonia, would you like to say anything? You're muted.
Hello, I'm Maya. I represent Georgian Laboratory Medicine Association. It's very nice to meet with you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
My name is João Faro Viana. I'm from the Portuguese Society of Laboratory Medicine. It's a great pleasure to be here, and congratulations for the organization.
Thank you for joining us. Anyone else before we start our presentations?
Morning, Khosrow. Morning, board members. I'm Tahir Pillay. I'm representing the South African Association of Clinical Biochemistry and Laboratory Medicine. I'm in sunny South Africa with probably the best climate in the world, and it's good to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tahir. Thanks for joining us. So if there are no one else, I see Philippe has joined us, who is the head of our scientific division. This is the largest division within IFCC. Philippe, please, would you like to say any?
Hello, Khosrow. Hello, friends. Okay, I'm Philippe Gillery from France. I'm not the president of the French Society, but I'm representing him. And I'm also the chair of the scientific division of IFCC. I'm professor of biochemistry and molecular biology in the University of Reims in France. And I'm the head of the Department of Biology and Pathology of my university hospital. And happy to be with you this morning.
Thank you, Philippe. It's excellent that you could join us. Anyone else who would like to say any words before we start?
Doctor? Khosrow?
Yeah, please go ahead, Abdul Razak.
Dr. Manal Shaban is the new president of our society, directly connected, but they can't to speak directly. Yeah?
That's right. They're probably connected as an attendee, which is fine. They can see us and they can hear us, and they'll be able to answer, ask questions. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to now share my screen. I'm going to give a hopefully not too long, 15, 20-minute presentation, and then we will be followed by a brief presentation by Dr. David Kinneberg, and then our regional federation presidents will be giving presentations as well. So I'll start. So this is, as I mentioned, our first IFCC Town Hall. The idea is really to bring people together. Initially, we wanted to have one town hall for the whole world, but as you know, that's just not practical because we live in different time zones, and it would be very inconvenient if we have it in European time zone. It would be very inconvenient for many others. So therefore, it made sense to have town halls specific to different regions. So this first one, fortunately, the European time zone includes people from not only Europe and societies from Europe, but also from Africa and from Middle East, the Arab Federation, and others who might be interested in joining us. So therefore, it really it catches quite a few regions, covers many regions and many societies. So this is our first town hall. As I mentioned, there will be another one for Asia Pacific in their time zone, and then another one soon in North America and South America. That should cover all regions of IFCC. Now, first of all, a very quick introduction to IFCC, and you're all familiar with IFCC. It's the largest organization in the field of laboratory medicine, and the aim is really to advance excellence in lab medicine for better healthcare worldwide. And currently we have 95 full members and 17 affiliates. So 95 full members means 95 countries are members of the IFCC, and 49 corporate members. So this is a really important part of IFCC. We have very strong, perhaps among any organization I have seen, IFCC has the largest corporate membership and has a strong corporate presence and support. When you look at all of these societies, we have actually close to 50,000 lab specialists and lab professionals that are sort of under the umbrella of IFCC and the regional federations of IFCC. Now, this slide sort of shows you the different federations, and of course, these are really important components of IFCC, and that's why IFCC presidents in the last several years and IFCC board worked with the regional federations to change the structure so that now we have representatives of all federations on the IFCC board, because really I always find that we're all part of the same family. We're just living in different regions, and therefore we need to work together. And so this shows the European Federation, which is the largest federation within the IFCC, the African Federation, as well as the Arab Federation, which were present today at the town hall. We have the North American Federation, which includes US and Canada, Kolabiokli, which includes almost 30 plus countries in Central and South America, and then the Asia Pacific, which of course includes all of Asia as well as Pacific, so Australia, New Zealand. Now, this just shows you the same information, the names of the different federations, but I've already sort of introduced that. Now, the IFCC is really a worldwide non-political, it's important, non-political organization in the field of clinical chemistry and lab medicine. Our main aims are to establish global standards, both in scientific areas as well as educational programs, supporting our members through many programs. And I'm happy to tell you IFCC is becoming even more active to support members and societies, particularly in developing countries. So both scientific and educational programs, providing a series of congresses, of course, and IFCC has been working closely with our regional federations to host conferences. And as you know, the next one coming up is the European conference, the Euromed Lab, which is coming up in end of November. And I want to really encourage all of you to try to attend as much as you can. I will be talking about that further. We really want to promote attendance at this meeting. Now, IFCC was founded many years ago. We're actually celebrating next year the 70th anniversary, so 70. So it's a 70-year-old organization. It was initially founded actually, as you can see, in Paris in 1952, and then changed its name to IFCC in 1955 in Brussels. And later, it was actually expanded to include lab medicine. So IFCC now includes International Federation of Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine. Now, this is the IFCC structure. The governing body is the IFCC Council. That's all of you. So all of the societies, the 95 societies and the affiliates that we have, the 17 affiliates, are sort of the IFCC Council. And then we have the IFCC Executive Board, which I will introduce, which actually reports to the IFCC Council. And then we have a number of different divisions, as shown here, the scientific division being the largest. Philip is the chair of the IFCC division. We have the EMD, or Education Management Division, is currently headed by Nader Rafai from Boston. Communication and Publication Division, currently chaired by Tahir Pillay from South Africa. And Emerging Technologies Division, headed by Sergio Bernardini from Rome. So we have a very strong number of divisions headed by very strong scientists around the world. And we also have a number of groups, as you can see. And because of time, I won't have time to introduce everyone, but I should acknowledge that our new head of Congress and Conference Committee is Paui Latinen from Finland, who is just taken on this position. Now, our secretary will actually introduce our IFCC office and our IFCC members shortly. Now, this is the current IFCC board members. So we have our core members, David, Alex, Joseph, and myself. And then we have our 6 regional federation representatives or presidents who are serving on the board. And I think this is a great new structure that was introduced a few years ago. And now we have direct representation from every region on the IFCC board. Now, since 2020, actually starting with the almost around the time the pandemic started, we started actually putting together a new strategic plan. And the new strategic plan is to improve activities across the IFCC organization. So the new vision is to directly impact the IFCC in its work and its activities to try to directly impact healthcare delivery and patient outcomes. So therefore, starting programs such as the newborn screening, global newborn screening program, I will discuss that, directly contributing to global lab quality. After all, in lab medicine, quality is everything. So IFCC needs to work with societies around the world to improve global lab quality. So EQA, IQC, reference intervals, so post-analytical quality. So contribute to improve global lab quality. Also try to increase visibility of lab medicine by developing the evidence, clinical evidence on value and impact of lab medicine in healthcare, and also expand significantly distance learning programs such as webinars, which, as you know, we have been doing in the last year and a half. So, but because of the pandemic, we actually had to deal with the pandemic first before we could start some of these programs. But as you know, IFCC has been very quick in responding to the pandemic. The first thing we did is we developed an IFCC task force on COVID-19. This was developed right after WHO announced the pandemic in March of 2020. And then this task force has been quite busy, headed by Professor Giuseppe Lippi in Italy, but we have very strong scientists on this task force from around the world, as well as 5 corporate representatives. So this group has worked together to develop guidelines on biosafety, on molecular testing, on serological testing, on biochemical hematological testing, and on most recently on the rapid antigen testing. These documents have been published. They're all available online, both through IFCC website as well as through the CCLM. Now, I should say that these documents are all evidence-based and have been very well received. Many developing countries have already used these documents as they plan to provide testing and other services in their country. So we're happy that it's not just that the papers were published, but that they have had a significant impact around the world. I have received many emails indicating that they're using these guidelines in practice on the ground. Now, another important resource that was developed was the online resource for COVID-19. This has been updated regularly with the help of the office, as well as a team of fellows and scientists, and it's regularly updated, and it has a lot of good information, and many of you probably have already seen that. We also had a conference, as you know, a virtual conference on COVID-19 in February. I'm happy to tell you it was very successful. We about 3,000 attendees, and over 60 different speakers from around the world, truly international. So this is actually the IFCC guide. So those who haven't seen it, I welcome you to go and visit. It actually started in March of 2020, but it's been updated regularly since then. Now, these are the guidelines I mentioned. They're all published in CCLM, thanks to Professor Polebani. The editor of CCLM has collaborated closely with IFCC and with this task force, and has helped publish all of these papers in CCLM. Now, I wanted to quickly, I don't want to spend too much time, but talk about some of the programs. So I mentioned this, we have also, other than dealing with the COVID-19, we wanted to really start some new programs. And the first one actually was that the vision was that the IFCC should be more proactive and directly impact through its activities global healthcare in developing nations. And this one program we thought would be very helpful is a global newborn screening program. This program has already started. A task force was formed. Basically, the idea was to work with certain countries. We can't help every country, but certain countries who do not have any program to start newborn screening program. The aims are shown here. I don't have time to go all the details, but the idea is that IFCC would actually provide funding, will provide an investment in those countries to help start the program, but work with the governments, local governments, to continue the program. So we could provide some seed funding, some pilot funding, and then hopefully the government can continue the program. I'm happy to tell you a task force was formed. This is the membership of the task force, headed by Professor Luang Pineda from US and Professor Bonham from UK. They are co-chairing this task force, and actually we have members from many parts of the world. Every one of these members is an expert in the area of newborn screening, so we made sure that we have a strong group of scientists with expertise in this area. And Dr. Hill from the board is the EB liaison to this group. So far, a global survey has been completed of all countries to determine who has program newborn screening and who doesn't. We have met and started agreements with CDC, with CLSI, with AACC, because they have common interest with us. They are also interested in newborn screening. And we have actually started, this team has started selecting countries for the first pilot project. And the hope is that the pilot project will start early next year or later this year, depending on the progress. Another important focus was, of course, quality. I mentioned both analytical quality and post-analytical quality, which means IQC, EQA, and reference interval database. And so we have been, there is a new task force was formed to work on this. Again, the idea is that IFCC should help countries who do not have an EQA program to start an EQA program. Also to provide advice and support in IQC, as well as I mentioned, post-analytical quality. So a new task force has been formed. This task force is headed by Professor Aman from Germany and Professor Meng from US. I'm happy to tell you that it has made significant progress. Worldwide survey was completed. 10 countries have already been selected, actually two from Eastern Europe, 2 from Africa, and other parts of the world, a total of 10 countries. And we are also now selecting a corporate partner to provide the materials, IQC and EQA materials. They have actually already submitted proposals. We're trying to select a company, one or more companies to work with. So this will be a partnership with corporate members. And the first pilot is starting this fall or early next year. So I mentioned reference intervals. Well, this is equally important, not just EQA and internal quality control, but ensuring you have appropriate reference intervals, as you know, is really important in ensuring appropriate reporting and interpretation. So therefore, we are forming a task force. This is still work in progress. We have actually received over 20 nominations from around the world, and we're forming a task force to develop a global reference interval task force. So the idea is that IFCC will become the largest resource for reference interval information. And we're hoping to bring data together from Europe, from China, from Africa, from North America, and this created database to assist anyone, both lab professionals and physicians who are interested in finding reference interval information. So the one other key area has been distance learning and e-learning. And so our idea was that IFCC should provide free e-learning programs globally. And I'm happy to tell you that that has started, as you know, through providing live webinars. And I'm sure you have seen many of the live webinars. Many of you have been involved in starting or putting together live webinars. So, but live global webinars is only one part of this program. We're hoping to develop courses, practical workshops, and other types of e-learning programs, all at no charge for people around the world, particularly for young scientists and for developing countries. The live series, as you know, has started with a pilot last year, but is now going very well. Every 2 or 3 weeks, we have a new webinar. And I'm very happy to tell you thousands of people attend every webinar, and they obtain a certificate after the webinar. More importantly, also, the speakers are truly international. So like we have speakers at the same time for each webinar from different countries around the world. So a truly international webinar program. And finally, this one last program is the sort of developing evidence on lab medicine in healthcare. We are forming a task force that will start some outcome studies, work with you around the world to try to start studies. And this is, the idea is that there will be IFCC-sponsored clinical outcome studies, initially retrospective studies, which are easier and cheaper to do, and perhaps down the road, prospective studies. But the idea is to enhance our public relation through evidence, establish evidence, and then use that evidence to promote the field of lab medicine. I should mention, as part of this, we're also starting a global lab week. So you will be getting announcements soon. So we're hoping to start a new global lab week. So IFCC will work with national societies and regional federations to promote lab medicine around the world. In April of each year, we'll have a lab week called Global Lab Week. So that is sort of part of the same thing, PR, public relation, but also just ensuring that people are aware of the importance of labs and lab professionals in this field. I already talked about this. I should mention, of course, IFCC has many other existing programs, particularly things like this, the VLP program, the Abbott Visiting Lectureship Program, the Scientific Exchange Program, and others. We have a speakers bureau, and many countries are already using this to invite speakers and travel scholarships for young scientists. So I'm sure you're already aware, but if you are not, please take advantage of these programs. IFCC is actually increasing funding for some of these programs. I mentioned that, so I just want to finish. I don't want to take too much time, a couple more slides. I wanted to just remind you that we have several conferences coming up. The Euromed Lab Munich conference, a joint conference of IFCC FLM that's organized in Munich. And happy to tell you, we have significant interest from corporate members. We continue to receive, even in the last couple of weeks, interest for more exhibits. So this seems to show that there is optimism that people would be able to be present. And I want to encourage you to attend. We have next year, we have our World Lab in Seoul, and this will be jointly also organized with the Asia Pacific. And this is a new policy of IFCC for every conference to be working with a regional federation in that region. And then in 23, we have our Euromed Lab, World Lab combined meeting in Rome. And that one is also being organized in jointly with EFLM. So another pitch for the MONEC meeting, please try to come. If you do not have major restrictions, travel restrictions, these days all it takes is it's just an antigen test, which can be done in 10 minutes. And then you have the document to travel to the conference. So it's pretty easy to get around, unless you have specific restrictions for your country. But please try to attend this meeting. We are hoping to have a strong presence of all of you in MONEC in 2 months. We are looking at potentially a hybrid option as well for those who are not able to attend. But at this time, we're promoting the in-presence or in-person attendance. Now, finally, I wanted to let you know that there is a satellite meeting of the MONEC conference on pediatric lab medicine. So those who are interested in pediatric lab medicine, please try to attend the pediatric meeting. It will be the weekend before the Euromed Lab conference. We have a very strong program. It's available online. There is a link from the IFCC website. So go and take a look, but we have a strong scientific program, and I hope you will be able to attend. So that really, that's it. I just want to summarize that IFCC is a worldwide non-political organization. And it's really, the idea is for us to be the link between all of your societies and federations. So bring federations and societies together. Again, I call it the IFCC family, which with groups in different parts of the board, but we're all part of the same family. The major body involved in development of the standards, and that's actually what IFCC is known for, is the standardization, harmonization, and developing reference methods and so on. And IFCC conferences as a major venue for international exchange of scientific know-how, and it is becoming increasingly a major facilitator of education and communications in this field. So thank you very much. That sort of ends my presentation. There will be lots of time for questions, but perhaps I hand it off to David to quickly introduce himself, but also the office. We have a very strong office in Milan who has been supporting IFCC for many, many years, and David will be presenting them, introducing them. Please.
Thank you, Khosrow. I'm just looking for my slide, which of course is hiding now, but you know, I don't. Yeah, there we are. There we are. So I don't want to take a lot of time here this morning because we want to get into your input, but I do think it's important to recognize the effort and the tremendous efficient staff we have in the office in Milan, Italy. Paola Bramati is our office manager, Silvia Colalenzi, Silvia Cardinali, and Smeralda Skenderai. I know I would have trouble with Smelda's name. She's just joined us, and she's learning all about the office, and is going to be a wonderful asset to our office. I've also indicated, of course, the email address and the website. This town hall is, of course, an opportunity to get your input, but we do want to remind you that throughout the year, we welcome your input, your ideas, your suggestions, your comments, not just at opportunities like this. And so you are, of course, welcome to send your thoughts to Khosrow, to myself, to your federation representatives that sit on the executive board, or through to the office as well, any executive board member, so that we know what's important to you and so we can respond to those needs. So that's really all I wanted to say. I want to turn it over now to Alexander, our treasurer, who will have a few comments. Please go ahead, Alexander.
Hello, I'm Alexander Khaliashos. I'm the treasurer of the IFCC. I will say that with Dave and Khosrow are in the executive committee of IFCC. I'm taking care of the finances, and I have to say that for the moment, although we are missing the income for Euromed Lab that we hope that we will receive by the end of the year, everything is quite balanced, although the pandemic. This for the moment, and Khosrow, you can start the discussion. You are muted.
Sorry about that. So I thought we could start with our regional federation president presentations. David, would you like to introduce them, or would you like me to?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So I think we'll start with Anna Maria from EFLM. Anna, would you like to share your slides?
Just a second. Okay, can you see my slides, Khosrow? Can you just confirm? Yes, okay, thank you. Once again, good morning, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. I am now, I have my EFLM hat on, and thanks for giving me a couple of minutes to present the European Federation, Regional Federation of IFCC. We in EFLM, in European Federation, have 4 different types of memberships. We have full members, which are the members that are, of course, paying the full fee, but also have all rights, voting rights, rights to be nominated to different working groups and other organizational structures. We also have provisional and affiliate members and co-opted members. Provisional members are those who have applied to become the IFCC member, but are not members yet, and they don't pay fees and they don't have voting rights until they become the full members. And affiliate members are any society that is active in laboratory medicine, and they pay half of the fee, but they don't have voting rights, and they can only delegate corresponding members to different working groups. And altogether, we have 41 full member with full voting rights. We have 7 affiliate members and 1 provisional member from Slovak society. So altogether, we, as I said, represent Europe, and almost all European countries are members of the EFLM. The only countries missing are Belarusia, Malta, and Moldova, and we hope that they will join us soon. So altogether, Khosrow has showed the numbers of IFCC. EFLM actually represents almost half of the total IFCC membership. We have altogether more than 20,000 specialists in laboratory medicine. The affiliate members are, there are 7 affiliate members from France, Ireland, even 2 from Ireland, 1 from Kazakhstan, Romania, Serbia, and Spain. We very similarly to IFCC have the general meeting, which is the governing body of EFLM, and these are the 41 national societies. This is the governing body. The executive board is the executive body of the EFLM, and then under the executive board we have 2 task forces, we have 5 committees, and then under these committees we have 22 different working groups, 1 task group, 1 task and finish group, and then again under the working groups we have more groups. So there are more than 200 people working in different committees and organizational groups for the benefit of our profession. To kind of define the rules and mode of operation, the EFLM has a EFLM procedure manual which actually describes who does what and how. And for all of you who are interested, please, you're welcome to It's an open document. You can find it on the EFLM website under downloads, and there is the most recent version of the EFLM procedure manual, as well as our statutes or the article of association. Our board consists of 7 members. It's always the president, which I have the privilege to serve this role for this and the past year. We have the past president, and we also have the president-elect, so the incoming president, and this is Tomer Sosbin, who is also with us today. She will become the EFLM president starting with January 1st next year. We have a secretary, Giuseppe Lippi, the treasurer from Germany, and 2 members at large who are with us today, Pilar Fernandez-Cale and Dalius Witkus. And of course, the EFLM could not operate without the fantastic and one and only Silvia Cataneo, whom I'm very certain you all very well know. We have different committees, as I said, Communication Committee, Quality and Regulation, Education and Training, Profession, and Science Committee is the largest committee and has a number of working groups working under that committee. Let me just briefly introduce some of our most recent projects. A very important project for EFLM was the launch of EFLM Academy. EFLM Academy was launched starting from January 2020. The Academy, the aims of the Academy is actually to support education, training, and continuous professional development of laboratory medicine practitioners, to provide an online platform with a wealth of useful information. And actually, anyone can become a member of the EFLM Academy. So anyone who is interested in laboratory medicine, as well as representatives of diagnostic companies. And becoming a member of EFLM Academy, you are entitled to receive a number of benefits. And because of the lack of time, I will not go into details, but for all who are interested, we have really fantastic opportunities. Please go to our website and download the promotional brochure. You can go to the EFLM website, and under EFLM Academy, you will find the leaflet and the presentation, which then will provide more information about the EFLM Academy. One of the very interesting and very attractive benefits of EFLM Academy is the opportunity also to participate in the EFLM syllabus course for free. EFLM syllabus course is a huge project, which is a body of educational resource, so to say, which is closely in line with the EFLM syllabus, which is the framework for the education of the European specialists in laboratory medicine. And it has more than 40 modules, and within each module there are a number of lectures, and some fantastic speakers, very esteemed experts have been very kind to accept our invitation to give a lecture. The course will be launched starting with January 2022, and it will be free for all Academy members. And this has been made possible thanks to the fantastic team of the members of the task group for European syllabus course, which I have the pleasure and honor to chair, and thanks also to some external course coordinators. And the course has been the course has received a number of compliments, and I take the opportunity to thank to Professor Khosrow-Adeli for giving us a very nice compliments, as well as to Professor Plebani and some other experts, like, for example, our past president, Professor Sverre Sandberg. Also, if you want to know more about the EFLM syllabus course, you can go under the profession committee, and then within the profession committee, you will find the task group for EFLM syllabus course, and there you will see the link to the course brochure with a detailed explanation of all modules and all lectures and all speakers, and the number of very informative facts and information about the course. One other thing that we have recently started is the EFLM Young Scientists Task Group. The kickoff meeting has been organized in June this year, and we hope that this will provide a number of opportunities for young colleagues to become more engaged within the EFLM family. One thing that we are particularly proud of is the launch of the EFLM scholarship program in memory of one of the first presidents of the EFLM, Professor Vic Blaton. This program has been launched in August 2020, and the aim is actually to help some less developed countries in Europe to enjoy benefits and some opportunities for education and advancement in their profession. So it offers a number of bursaries to attend different courses and also membership in EFLM Academy. EFLM is very active and provides a number of educational opportunities for its members. The two courses that are recently launched are the course in biostatistics and course on leadership, and actually both are ongoing at the moment as we speak, but they will be offered again next year, so stay tuned and register for the next courses, which will be announced within a couple of months, I'm sure. Also, I wish to draw your attention to the next edition of the Pre-Analytical Phase Conference. The EFLM Working Group for Pre-Analytical Phase has already organized 5 very successful conferences on pre-analytical phase. The last one was in March 2019 in Zagreb, Croatia, my hometown. And the next one is going to take place next year. Due to COVID pandemic, we had to postpone, unfortunately, the one that was supposed to be in 2021. So this year, because of the COVID pandemic, but we will organize the next edition of the conference in March 2020. It will be unfortunately online because the working group members agreed that we don't want to risk the cancellations and delays. So save the date, because the next edition of the pre-analytical conference is very soon. For all of you who want to know more about EFLM and who want to stay informed about all novelties and activities organized by EFLM, please subscribe to EFLM newsletter. You can do it here and join the EFLM circulation list. And if you want to read EFLM newsletter, the most recent one, but also the old ones, you can visit this link. The EFLM newsletter is a bi-monthly publication which brings a lot of information about the EFLM activities, and one section which was recently launched is the coffee with the EFLM president, which is the coffee with me for the moment. And in this section, I invite several EFLM officers who then have a short interview with me and share some things about them, about their profession, about their lives. And this is actually a very nice opportunity for the EFLM readership to better get to know some of the EFLM officers. And I had, for example, in the last edition, I had the pleasure to welcome Professor Tomris Osban and Snežana Jovicic, who is the incoming part of the EFLM Executive Board starting with January 2022. For all of you who are interested to know more about EFLM, please visit our website or contact us at the EFLM at eflm.eu, and our fantastic and one and only secretary, Silvia Catanel, will reply to any question that you might have. Thank you very much once again for this wonderful opportunity to present the EFLM. Koshrov, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think the organizers mute me. I don't mute myself. Okay. Thanks, Anna Maria, for that excellent presentation. It was a great overview of EFLM activities. And as you mentioned, EFLM is a major and large part of IFCC. IFCC began in Europe, and your contributions are so critical and important to what all of us do. So thank you. We're going to move on to perhaps we could start with Osama or the Arab Federation. Perhaps please give us a 10-minute presentation, Osama, on your activities, please.
Thank you, Professor Adili, and thank you all my colleagues. Great thanks to the IFCC office in Rome for all their efforts, all the time we found them when we asked for anything we need from them in Rome. Thank you to give me this opportunity also to have this presentation about the Arab Federation of Clinical Biology. During these 2 years, we know that the Corona pandemic, it casts a great shadow on our job and our work in the whole area. It affects everything in our lifestyle, like the whole world. But we know that how humanity in the whole world does not retreated in the face of these challenges that faced during Corona pandemic. Also, the AFCB was part of the front this pandemic in order to recruit our people against this pandemic. And we know that laboratories, clinical laboratories play a major role in such an area. Great thanks to the IFCC for this amazing meeting, town hall meeting. And great thanks to my colleagues in the African Federation of Clinical Chemistry and to the European Federation of Laboratory Medicine to see them that they are in a good manner and everything is going okay with them. We know that Corona is one of our major challenges that we face these days, and we put a great thanks here to the IFCC teams who work for the guidelines that you mentioned, Dr. Adili, in your presentation. That was a great effort played for these guidelines, that we use them in our hospitals, our labs, for our private sector, our public sector, our governmental sector. We issue all these guidelines for them to be followed all the time in a concrete manner and in the same line with the WHO, also guidelines that are issued all the time for this pandemic. Since we are a regional federation, we play a major role in publishing these guidelines to be in use and in application for our colleagues in these laboratories. The Arab Federation of Clinical Biology, as I mentioned, is a regional federation of associations, societies, and syndicates of laboratory medicine specialists in the Arab countries. It represents laboratory medicine professionals practicing in scientific, educational research institutes, and in the private sector as well. The Arab Federation of Clinical Biology is a specialized scientific Arab institution that gathers a group of institutions, associations, unions, societies, and scientific vocational complexes that accepted the basic status of the federation, and they are committed to cooperate towards the achievement of the federation goals. The internal regulations of respective members are necessarily in harmony with the federation rules and regulations. Also, you should know that a brief history of the Arab Federation, which was founded in 1974 through an initiative and effort of 4 founding countries, Egypt, Syria, Sudan, and Kuwait. In 1991, during the 6th Arab Mid-Lab held in Tunisia, a new status was adopted. Jordan, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, present there, joined the federation. Lebanon joined the federation in 1994. Palestine and Sudan joined the federation in 1997. Yemen joined the federation in 2000. And in the former 2 years, there are other 2 countries also joined the federation, Libya and Kuwait. Libya and Kuwait, and also they joined the federation, Saudi Arabia. Since 91, the Arab Federation organizes the Arab Mid-Lab every 3 years. And sometimes there is a gap between some of the conferences or the Mid-Labs due to circumstances in certain Arab countries. And we know that the last one, which was to be held in Beirut, Lebanon, was postponed due to the situation of the Corona pandemic in Lebanon and to the economic situation also in Beirut. Until now, there is no new date done for the new Arab Mid-Lab that should be held in Beirut, which is the 15th or the 16th Arab Mid-Lab, which be held in Beirut. The Arab countries which are part or members of the AFCB, they are Egypt, Tunisia, Syria, Morocco, Jordan, Sudan, Palestine, Yemen, Algeria, Lebanon, Libya, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Kuwait. And we should know that Yemen and Iraq are still not an IFCC members. And we are doing good efforts now with them to introduce their papers to the IFCC to have the full membership inside the IFCC. The objectives of the AFCB is to strengthening the relation among workers in the field of clinical laboratory sciences in the Arab world and exchange experience, expertise, and scientific information, organizing periodical scientific conferences in the field of clinical laboratory sciences, seminars, workshops, and research symposia, providing logistic support to national conferences held by different societies, the association members in the federation, and issuing specialized scientific magazines and pamphlets. Providing support for national laboratory medicine associations to see the light in these Arab countries where such bodies does not exist, and offer legal consultancy in accordance to the respective state regulations. We know that many of the Arab countries, and mostly in the Gulf area, their status and the rules in these countries, they are forbidden for to form societies and unions. So we are trying to found something between them in order to let them part of the Arab Federation and to continue work with them and to let them as part of the IFCC also. We are making great efforts, and I know that Dr. Abdulrazak Ledeli, as a representative of the AFCB in the IFCC Executive Board, also is putting his great effort in most of the Arab countries and the Ministry of Health in these countries in order to introduce a new societies from these Arab countries to be part of the AFCB and part of the IFCC also. Also offering advice and experience in the domain of testing accuracy for the quality control, enhancing these programs in the field of laboratory science in the Arab world. We are working in exchanging information, exchanging laws, exchanging ideas, offering scientific advice, and investigate the possibility of the use of the international units. Also, we are now in a process of doing something in a collective manner for the whole Arab countries who are part of the AFCB to have an Arabic quality control scheme to be part of the international scheme that should be evaluated by the IFCC, for example, by the support of the IFCC. Also coordinating with the Arab health governmental bodies on issues related to the field of clinical laboratory sciences, working on unifying regulations and the legislations related to clinical laboratory technologists, and developing a legal unified educational profile, since this needs a great effort also by what we call as a unified body like the AFCB to work with the educations, universities, ministries in order to unify the education profile for the science of laboratory medicine, cooperating and coordinating with the World Health Organization in the organization of training workshops and continuing education programs. What we are going to do and continuing to do to maintain our cooperation with the IFCC, continuing education programs, especially for young scientists. And we know that every time we work with our young scientists in many different disciplines in order to raise a new generation of young scientists in the profession of laboratory medicine with the updated education settings, with the updated sciences in the field of laboratory medicine. Also to sustain educational workshops in all fields of clinical laboratory scientists, to initiate governmental process for updating and modernizing local legislation and regulations pertinent to the specialty of laboratory medicine in the whole countries, to promote the culture of quality assurance and work with concerned governmental bodies to implement national quality assurance programs in both public and the private sectors. And nowadays we put certain regulations to use the ISO 15189 as part of the accreditation for the quality assurance programs in the Arabic world, to foster our involvement in international activities through the IFCC or through the WHO or through the Arab Council for Health Specialists, which is a new council formed by the Arab Countries League that will work with the whole bodies in the Arabic world, like AFCB, like the pharmacists, like the doctors who work in the field of medicine. This council, we will have something to do with them in order to put the laboratories as part of the health issues in the Arabic world, and to carry on with the organizations of the Arab Mid-Lab once every 3 years in one of the Arabic cities, as we are doing now, and to encourage and back up the participation of Arab scientists in regional and international scientific activities. And in this field, we are trying to have a list of the Arab scientists in the field of laboratory medicine, and we will also share this list of the scientists and their fields of research and work to the also to be added to the IFCC list of scientists to support the clinical laboratory scientists in Arabic world, to form societies in laboratory medicine and to have the IFCC membership. Development of the FCB award in clinical laboratory research. We know that we have an award of $5,000 for the best research presented in the Arab Mid-Lab every 3 years. We will develop this award to be a yearly award for the best research, and to have a board for this reward from the international world also to evaluate the research to are introduced to this award. Also to continuous building of partnership and cooperation relations with regional federations, as done with the EFLM. Each know that we have a cooperation, a memorandum of understanding between the AFCB and the EFLM, which was a great success when we formed the laboratory medicine for mobile societies. And we have the first meeting that done in Italy, and then we have the second meeting to be done in which was to be presented in Tunisia, but due to pandemic, which was done through the Zoom. And then the third meeting, we will continue in this cooperation, and we hope that to develop this building of this partnership to other regional federations, as well as the EFLM, the AFCC, and the other regional federations in the IFCC. And the final thing that we are going, the ultimate goals of the Arab Federation is to upgrade the profession on both the theoretical and technical levels, and keep up with the accelerated development in laboratory medicine, to make every possible attempt to secure laboratory medicine specialists and ever improving working environment in the Arabic world. And this is a continuous challenging course of action. We have the will and determination to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Osama. That was excellent, a great overview. We don't always hear all the activities occurring around the world in different regions. So this is an excellent opportunity to hear from you. Thank you. So Rajiv, if you would like to go ahead and give your presentation, if you could try to keep it to about 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Khusro. As I said, we've been having some connectivity issues, and I've asked the IFCC office to present the slides.
Oh, okay.
So please go ahead. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Rajiv Erasmus. Greetings from Africa, the land of the AFCC, from where all humanity emerged. AFCC is changing the health landscape in Africa by improving the quality of lab and point-of-care testing. The AFCC consists of 14 national societies from Africa, and in this presentation, I will highlight some of what we have achieved in the last 3 years. There is no doubt that COVID has had a serious impact on our activities, and indeed we lost a whole year to COVID. particularly in 2020. So in 2018, the AFCC Executive Committee developed a 10-point strategic plan. This aimed at organizing educational and training workshops and to support conferences organized by our member societies. It also envisaged that we would increase our membership by at least one every 2 years. We also thought that we will increase the number of travel grants by raising funds internally. One other area that we felt was very important was to increase the visibility of the AFCC and establish an African Bureau of Speakers. A number of AFCC quality improvement projects were also considered, and 2 in particular were thought to be important. These consisted of supporting training of African lab professionals in lab management related to improving the quality of lab services in Africa. And the second one was to standardize some of the lab methods. And we thought it would be a good idea to start with creatinine and albumin. We also felt that the website needed to be upgraded, and since it's a window to AFCC and its activities. 2 other things that also were considered to be important was the planning of AFCC regional conferences and seeking for funding to organize these and expand them in the near future. One of the areas we thought that needed attention was to improve governance and put in policies, especially relating to travel grants and finance. In line with our strategic plan, in 2018, AFCC supported and assisted the Association of Clinical Chemists of Nigeria to host their annual conference. The AFCC also sponsored several international speakers and young scientists and organized face-to-face board meetings that had previously not taken place. This continued with the organization of the 6th Regional AFCC Congress in Marrakech in 2019, and this was a highly successful meeting. Despite losing a whole year to COVID-19 in 2020, AFCC was not silenced. We continued to support conferences such as this one in Alexandria University that was organized by the Department of Chemical Pathology based in the Medical Research Department of Alexandria University. Since 2018, AFCC has supported more than 100 African scientists to attend various conferences and workshops. This picture shows young scientists from Nigeria, Morocco, Zambia, South Africa, who were sponsored by AFCC to attend the 6th AFCC Regional Conference in Marrakech, Morocco. Throughout 2018 and 2019, AFCC continued to support conferences and training workshops to improve the quality of point-of-care testing in Africa. It did this by collaborating with academic institutions in Africa, as well as collaborating with sister organizations such as the Kenyan Association of Clinical Pathology. Indeed, in 2020, just before the advent of COVID-19, AFCC developed a draft policy on point-of-care testing in collaboration with academic universities in South Africa and Alexandria University in Egypt. Following the first case of COVID-19 in early March, the Point of Care Testing Africa 220 conference that was supported by AFCC had to be cancelled and shifted to May 2021. This conference was eventually held, and AFCC supported more than 40 young scientists to attend this meeting. Since 2017, AFCC has been successful in jointly organizing workshops aimed at improving pre-analytics. We have particularly focused on blood gas analysis, and Radiometer has supported AFCC strongly in this area. Workshops have been held in Egypt, Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, and Morocco. More recently, Radiometer has also assisted AFCC with workshops on point-of-care testing. Prior to COVID-19, AFCC actively organized several regional conferences and workshops that were primarily aimed at developing skills amongst our young scientists. We would like to thank Radiometer and BD, who supported several educational activities in 2018 and 2019. Our next regional AFCC conference will be held in Lusaka from the 8th of November to the 10th of November later this year. In the last 3 years, more than 1,000 young scientists and other professional colleagues have participated in various training activities that were organized by the Federation. We also engaged with the African Society for Lab Medicine and CDC Africa, both of whom are major organizations that promote lab medicine in Africa, with a goal to improving the quality of lab services in Africa. We hope that this will lead to joint actions in reaching out to other areas in Africa that so far have not benefited. This year, AFCC organized 5 webinars on various aspects of lab management in collaboration with various academic institutions and the Empower School of Health in Switzerland. These webinars have been highly successful and have been attended by nearly 800 lab professionals. The AFCC member societies also contributed significantly in producing several videos for the IFCC Global Lab Professionals Week. These have been loaded onto the IFCC website. So where do we go from here? The AFCC will continue to expand its collaboration. In particular, we would like to collaborate with EFLM, the Empower School of Health in Geneva, and the College of Pathologists of East, Central, and Southern Africa. We will seek further collaborations with industry and continue to support national and regional conferences. We would lend further support to our young scientists and engage with them with several of our scientific activities. We would like to expand our membership and to re-engage with what I term as lost societies. We also believe that we need to establish a secretariat that will ensure better and more regular communication with our members as well as our societies. AFCC will strongly support IFCC in all its activities, and in particular, we would like to actively take part in the proposed Global Lab Professionals Week. I would like to end this by acknowledging our friends from across the globe who have continued to support various educational activities in Africa. I also want to thank our industry partners, particularly Radiometer and BD, who have continued to support various educational activities over the last 3 to 4 years. Thank you so much for listening.
Well, thank you very much, Rajiv. Appreciate this very nice overview of the African Federation recent activities and future plans. Thank you very much. So this ends our presentations. We have taken about an hour and 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So we still have an hour and a half for discussion. So it's still pretty good. This is supposed to be an open forum. So every one of you could ask questions, as well as we have, I think many of you, I think I mentioned we have over 1,800 people who have registered, and they are in the background listening to us and seeing, they can see us, they can listen us, we can't see them, but they can ask questions through the chat. So I hand it off to Dr. David Kinneberg, who has kindly agreed to be the moderator of this session, especially the question answer session. And I'm happy to answer questions, as well as our board members, our regional federation presidents and board members. So depending on the question, every one of us could participate in answering those questions. So please, David.
Thank you, Khosrow. I'm here with Sylvia, and we're going to go through the questions that are on the chat line. The first question that comes up, and I think it's a very appropriate question, is what is the meaning of IFCC? And I think, Khosrow, maybe you want to talk to this, talk a little bit about the expansion of the name, and in particular what we're doing on the board to try and expand our membership to other areas beyond traditional clinical chemistry.
Certainly, thank you for that question. So IFCC, as I mentioned, began as a clinical chemistry organization, but it has expanded to cover all areas of laboratory medicine. So we do have pathologists, immunologists, hematologists, and others as part of the organization, although the vast majority are clinical biochemists or medical biochemists, but we do have many other groups as part of the organization. As I mentioned, the organization is really meant to bring people together. As you know, lab profession and lab medicine is not very visible, is not visible in the eye of the governments or in the eye of the public. Even physicians don't know much about labs. It's really a black box for them. They send a sample, and then hours later they get a result. They don't really know what goes on. So our role as a federation, IFCC, is to bring all of you together, to work together to improve visibility and impact of what we do. Truly, we are a major part of healthcare and healthcare delivery, and public health in the last 2 years has shown that without lab testing and lab support, one cannot manage public health. One cannot manage pandemics such as COVID-19. So this is an opportunity for us to promote the discipline even further, not just in patient care, but in public health as well. So we have many roles, but the main really objective of IFCC is to be an umbrella, to bring people together from around the world. Just like today, we have people from Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, the Arab Federation joining to exchange ideas. So this is really our main role.
Thanks, Khosrow. I might just add that we also, in this board and previous boards, are trying to encourage membership from other non-traditional clinical chemistry groups, whether that be genetics, public health, information management systems, etc. We don't have a lot of those groups that are members thus far, but we think it's important because those are areas that are emerging as important areas in laboratory medicine. And so we hope to see those members joining IFCC as we go forward. A next question, and this has come up before, it's a question from Ethiopia, And the question really relates to the difficulty that some countries have in getting their members successfully nominated to the various functional groups in IFCC. Often people have noted that it's difficult. While they've made many nominations, they have not been successful in getting members accepted to the functional groups. So, Khosrow, do you want to go ahead, or does someone else want to address that question? I know it has come up.
I'm happy to answer that question. Well, we have a process that's been the same process for many decades, actually, and that is that we call for nominations, but usually we typically receive many more nominations that we have positions for. So, for example, we just recently, for the Task Force on Reference Interval Database, we received 21 nominations, I believe, and we only have 5 or 6, 7 positions. So of course, we're going to unfortunately disappoint many others. But one new thing that we are doing, I think it's not that new in the last few years, is that everyone who is qualified but is not selected as a member of, let's say, a task force committee, is appointed as a corresponding member. So you would still be involved in the discussions, you'll be able to attend meetings, and you'll receive information from that group. So please do try again. If you are qualified, let's say, for on reference interval task force, of course, you need to have some background in that area. So if you have no background in that area, it would be difficult to select you. But if you have background in a certain area that we are calling nominations for, please do put your name in. Or of course, you have to go through your society. The society would have to nominate you. You cannot directly apply. You would need to get your society to nominate you. And if you are nominated, but you're not selected as a main member, or a full member, you would be selected still as a corresponding member. So I think one way or another, we hope to involve you in IFCC.
Thanks, Khosrow. We have a question about how does the IFCC support members through scientific endeavors? That's a big question and maybe a big answer, but I know Philippe is on the line, and Khosrow, maybe you and Philippe, others might want to address the many things that the IFCC does do to support its members scientifically.
I was thinking that Philippe would be best to answer that question. Are you available, Philippe, to answer that question, or would you like us to? I don't see him. He may not be available right now, but perhaps you could comment, David, and I'll add to it.
Sure. There wasn't enough time, I think, for Khosrow to go through all the many functional groups, the committees, the working groups, the task forces, et cetera, that we have within IFCC that address these issues. But of course, it's a primary responsibility and function of what IFCC does. Based on what we see as areas that are important in laboratory medicine, we will identify a project. That project may involve the development of a committee under one of the divisions, or a task force, or a working group. And then the appropriate individuals who are nominated will be selected to work on that topic, to produce guidelines, to produce publications, et cetera. So it is a fundamental aspect of what we do at IFCC. We do take it very seriously, but we look towards, again, our membership to identify those areas that they think are important in terms of lab medicine that should be addressed through one of our division committees, task forces, et cetera. And of course, we do allocate funding towards those projects to make sure that they are successful. And we encourage the sponsors, our corporate members as well, who will participate in these groups and will often provide additional funding to make sure that these projects can be successful. Khosrow.
Thank you, David. I don't have a lot to add, except that if you have ideas for new projects, please do contact IFCC. You could contact me directly, or any one of the board members, or your regional president or your national society president, and provide your comments and ideas. This is an open organization, which we are available to address your comments and concerns. So please do, if you have a proposal for a new project, let us know. Of course, we cannot do everything, so we may have to still discuss it internally to see if it's a feasible project, if it fits within the IFCC's plans and strategic plans. But as you know, we have begun a number of new projects, mostly aimed to support you in various countries, particularly in developing countries. Many of the new programs are meant to focus on developing countries and assist. So, but we are open to new ideas and new projects if we would like to suggest them. Probably best to first discuss with your national society president, who can then discuss it with the region or directly with the IFCC.
Thanks, Khosrow. I note that Osama has his hand up, and
yes, David. David, thank you very much. Really, I want to ask two questions to my friend Adili and to all the IFCC, also executive board members, and I need clarification from them. The first question is concerning the committees and task forces which are working inside the IFCC. All the time, you in the office send us that you ask for nominations from people for different committees and different task forces. All the time we issue these nominations to our colleagues in the Arabic world, and through their societies, they nominate our colleagues to these committees, but till now, no one was chosen. Till now, no one was chosen. Really, we want to know what are the criteria that you used, or these committees used, to choose who are nominated for such committees in the IFCC. This is the first question. My second question concerned of the members of the regional federations. All the time, and this is my third time to see that African Federation, it issues that Egypt is part of the African Federation. Really, I want to know, it is possible for the IFCC that the same country to be a member of two regional societies? For example, Egypt to be, for example, a member in the Arab Federation of Clinical Biology, and then to be as a member in the African Federation of Clinical Chemistry, or Morocco, or as me, Palestine, could be a member of the AFCP and in the Asian Pacific, for example? Is it possible? If it is not possible, we should know what we should do for such members or membership in these regional federations, really, in order to clarify the membership for each regional federation. Thank you.
Thank you, Osama. I can try to answer your first question, which is really important. How do we select? What is the criteria for selection? It is unfortunate that some of your recent nominees have not been selected, but we don't select. I've only been directly involved in selecting members for some task forces, but for committees and for working groups, mostly the chair of those divisions and also chair of committees are involved in selecting. And the criteria for selection is usually based on your expertise, the nominee's expertise in that area, as well as we have really strongly recommended to everyone to try to have a distribution of members around the world. So try to have members from different regions. And so try to focus on expertise. Of course, the expertise comes first, so that the person who is, let's say, being selected for the committee on, let's say, hemoglobin A1C standardization, well, they need to have some expertise on hemoglobin 1C and standardization of perhaps guidelines. So some expertise is essential, but so it is important to nominate based on expertise. So let's say in Arab Federation, I'm sure you have people who have expertise, let's say in the standardization. Well, they should be the ones nominated when a call comes about the standardization. Same thing on other topics like lab quality, assurance, or other areas. So expertise is really important. If you select the right people, they're most likely they will be accepted. The second issue is regional distribution. We are trying, and I will, based on your comments today, we will collect these suggestions, and what we'll do is we'll remind the committees, we'll remind the group divisions that they should ensure a good distribution of members. Like we shouldn't have everyone from North America or from Europe, or so we should try to make sure that we have a strong international distribution of members. So that was your first question. The second question I think is related to this second question was, could you remind me?
It's concerning to the membership of the African Federation and the Arab Federation. As I told you, the African Federation, they mentioned today that Egypt is part as member of the AFCC.
Oh, yes.
Also, yes. Egypt is a member of the AFCB. Morocco
yes,
also is part of
it's
well. The same. Yes.
Yeah, surprise to us as well. But this is an exceptional situation in the sense that Arab Federation and African Federation have some overlap. There are some countries in Africa that are African, but at the same time, there are Arabs. So this is sort of it might involve even some other countries who might be able to choose between the two federations. Personally, I don't see a problem. They could join both federations. They'll be part of both federations. They'll be active in both federations. But if you have concerns, you can always discuss it with the Egypt National Society and try to come up with an agreement. But in the view of IFCC, that is fine if there is some overlap between Arab Federation and African Federation. Actually, we were going to encourage you to work together and perhaps, for example, host the World Lab together between African and Arab Federation to perhaps host a future World Lab. We're actually sending a call for proposals very soon for the next World Lab. So, the two federations can work together potentially, because you do have actually geographically, you do have some overlap. And so, but of course, it's up to you, the two federations, to decide whether they would like to work together. But we encourage it as IFCC, from the IFCC's point of view.
Thanks, Dr. Adili, let me just to mention something.
Sure.
For the federations, it's good that we have cooperation, that we make the same conference with each other and to cooperate. This is so easily, but it is a conflict of interest really to have the same country to be in two federations. So please, we raise this problem and put it in front of the executive board of the IFCC in order to negotiate it, and should put in mind that to solve this problem, because to be here or to be in the two federations, it is a problem for us. It is a conflict of interest really between two federations. And I think that the membership should be for one regional federation only. No one can be in 3 or 4 federations. For example, part of Turkey is in Europe and part of Turkey in Asia. Where to go? So please.
I understand.
This is a conflict of interest. This a conflict of interest should be negotiated in the table of the IFCC board, and I hope to have a legal answer for this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I realize this could create issues and some confusion. I understand. We will discuss it with the IFCC board and try to see if we can come up with some recommendations for you and for the African Federation. Rajiv, would you like to comment for what your point of view is from the African Federation?
Thank you so much, Khusro, for asking me to comment on that. I think what Naja is saying is can be problematic because I think he is partially correct that there might be a conflict of interest. But I personally don't have any concerns. I mean, a country can belong to both the federations, but regarding the concerns that Naja has raised, perhaps we should discuss this. And as you've just said, you would want to discuss it in the board because it can cause potential conflict. There's no doubt about that. But personally, and I think even with the Africa Federation Executive, we don't see this as an issue, or certainly as a big issue. But if it's a concern from the AFCB, then certainly I think we need to discuss it and come to a resolution so that these potential conflicts of interest can be avoided.
Can I comment, please?
Please, go ahead, Christina.
Yes, thank you very much. I think Niger seems to be seeing it in a more severe problem than we are seeing in Africa, because we don't create problem when problem actually is not arising. I think what is important to understanding, because the president said correctly, overlap may not be a danger. It's the way we manage that matters most. And again, IFCC is just a one organization which should be working together in the interest of projecting the mission that we are after. So if by virtue of geographical overlap plus language encouragement, I think we should make use of it instead and make it an advantage instead of making an disadvantage. In fact, it encourages more interaction between federation than not having that interaction. Like President suggested, it could make us now collaborate more in terms of activities because of that overlap. I don't see that as we can make use of what appears as a challenge to become an advantage for us for both our federations. So we look forward to see it coming up as a useful event and not a disadvantage or a problem. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. And we like to encourage inter-federation collaboration. As you know, EFLM and Arab Federation are collaborated to organize joint meetings, and actually the board, IFCC board, supports that. And we would like to encourage you as well to do the same, perhaps with the African Federation, have joint activities. So I agree that the overlap is actually an advantage, not necessarily a problem, but I do understand there might be some sensitivities. We will discuss it at the board, but I also suggest, Osama, to perhaps have a discussion with the president of the Egypt Society, National Society, to determine if they have a preference for one federation or another. But as in general, we see it as an advantage, as Okisina just mentioned, to have a geographical vicinity and overlap that actually could help you create new like joint programs. I mentioned perhaps hosting jointly a conference like a World Lab and that sort of thing. So we see it as a positive, but we definitely can help you to try to address any concerns.
Thank you, Khusro. I want to get back to Anna Maria, who's had her hand up for a minute and wanted to make a comment. Please, Anna Maria.
Thank you. I would like to go back to the first comment posed by Osama Najjar. That comment was about the selection of members for various committees and working groups. And I would like to share with you the experience of EFLM. Well, we have done a survey in 2020, in the beginning of 2020, and we asked our members, what do they like about EFLM and what they don't like about EFLM. And we were surprised, were we surprised to hear that the lack of transparency was the number one reason which EFLM members did not like about EFLM, lack of transparency. because they felt that members were chosen for different positions based on unclear criteria and always the same people. And we were very surprised because we didn't feel that this is really what's going on. So we really took this seriously and we discussed it, and we came up with a new policy, which I would like to share with you, if this is possible, just one paragraph within our procedure manual that I told you. Yes, thank you. So where is the procedure manual? So we came up. Can you see my slides now? Yes. So we came up with this transparency policy, and what this is about actually is, it means that EFLM will make available criteria for deciding candidate selection with every call for a certain position, grant, award, where the selection is made by a group of EFLM officers in advance, meaning when we will launch a call, we will also make available criteria, because this is what Osama has been asked, what criteria are you using to make this selection? And we do have criteria. The thing is, we just didn't announce it. So those who were applying for the position were not aware of our criteria. And criteria may be different, as Khosrow was saying, depending on the position. But we decided we will make those criteria available with the call. Moreover, once the decision has been made, so when we make a selection, we will then make available to every applicant and nominating society who were the applicants, what was the composition of the committee, who was the successful candidate, and the elaborated decision why this candidate was selected for the position. Because we felt, we are doing I would say the procedure is correct. The only thing that we realized was wrong is we were not transparent about it. So I just wanted to address it, because I think you have raised a very important question, and we in EFLM had also a very similar problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very, just 1 second, Abdrazak. Just wanted to say that's very useful, and I think we have provided in the recent call for nomination some criteria in the letter of nomination, but perhaps we need to do more, as you suggest. We need to make clear who was nominated and who was selected, so that provide more clarity. And actually, this town hall is the one way of trying to increase transparency, try to increase dialogue among us, so that we reduce misunderstanding. But I really like what Anna Maria and EFLM are doing, and we need to do more of that, so that you are comfortable and you understand how members were selected or not selected. Abdul Razak, please go ahead. You had a comment.
Thank you, President. I agree with Anne Maria, but it's very, very important to discuss about this problem between Executive Board of Africa and Arab Federation. And yesterday, you remember, I proposed one candidate to organize the World Lab between IFCB and IFCC. It's very, I think the discussion is very important.
Yeah, it's a good point. So actually, yes, just yesterday, Osama and Rajiv, we had a board meeting here in Milan, near Milan, and we actually talked about that exact thing, that we actually were hoping that the two federations can collaborate and host the World Lab in the future. So, so I think there are opportunities to bring you together in a productive way. Thank you. So perhaps, David, we can go to any other question?
Yes, there's one question asking about potential IFCC initiatives regarding development of affordable diagnostics for third world countries. Is there something that IFCC can or should be doing in this regard?
Yeah, it's a very important question, particularly during the time of the pandemic. A lot of the new diagnostic tools, assays, instruments are not readily affordable for many countries. And so how do we help? I mean, IFCC hasn't really directly been involved in that, but perhaps there might be ways to help. For example, work with our corporate members to make contributions. For example, as you know, governments worked with pharma companies to provide a free HIV medication in Africa. And that was very successful, very helpful. So some similar strategy where not just us in IFCC, but the regional federations, EFLM, AFCB, AFCB, and other federations, and IFCC perhaps could collaborate with our corporate members to provide some, like we could perhaps partially invest on behalf of IFCC. We're already doing that in some areas. We have actually increased regional federation funding not in Europe and North America, but other federations are receiving double the amount of funding they used to receive from IFCC. So we have doubled the investment, but it's not enough. We could do more. And some of that funding could be used especially in the developing nations and countries who are in desperate need of, let's say, testing kits or some other supplies. There might be ways. We will discuss this. Thank you for bringing up this important point. We will discuss it within the IFCC board and come back to perhaps with some recommendation. We also have a call with a town hall with our corporate members next week on the 21st. We could discuss that as well to see if there is any interest from corporate members to work together on this particular issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Khosrow. It is a very important question, a very important issue. And of course, there's only so much that IFCC can do. But I would point out that the work that IFCC does on point of care testing, which of course is less expensive technology and has the potential to be very important in many of the developing countries or even in the rural areas of developed countries. And the specific task force on newborn screening is, of course, reaching out to many of the developing countries to enhance their efforts in that area. And we have one question, Khosrow, individual wanting to know how they can perhaps become involved, their country become involved in the newborn screening initiative.
Yeah, my suggestion would be to contact the chairs of the task force on newborn screening. They will, I'm sure, take your interest into consideration. You see, especially right now, they have surveyed countries around the world. They are selecting some countries to start programs. So if you are particularly in those programs, you could be involved in perhaps the implementation of the program. But that decision hasn't been made yet. They're analyzing information received. Actually, there was a great response to the survey, and now they're analyzing the results. So soon there will be more clarity which countries will start the program this year or next year. And then perhaps you could participate as a volunteer or some sort of basically have some involvement. Now, if you have expertise and background in the area of newborn screening, then please contact the chairs or contact me. We could look at perhaps making you a corresponding member. So we do have, openings for corresponding membership. If you have expertise in the area, that would make it easier to select you.
Thanks, Khosrow. We have a question and a comment, I guess, from Dogan and Turkish Biochemical Society. It notes that recently there was a call for emergency action to limit global temperature increases, restore biodiversity, and protect health. This was 150 medical journals, a call to the United Nations Assembly. So really the question is, should the IFCC and the IFCC daughter societies support this initiative? Should we be speaking out with respect to global warming and the issues in a more proactive fashion?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Actually, I have actually received some information for some similar sort of questions from others in recent months about whether IFCC should be involved in supporting some of the global climate change initiatives. And actually whether even IFCC should have policies around this topic. And I think it's not, we haven't thought about this. It's a new thing for us. Of course, I personally very much support a lot of the initiatives to improve, to sort of prevent further climate change. As you know, Canada recently was hit very hard with global warming. We had, in a place where it was never had degrees even above 30, we had 48-degree weather temperature, and there was huge number of fires in Canada. So we all are aware of the seriousness of this issue. How can IFCC be involved? How can we be part of the sort of effort to improve climate and reduce climate change or prevent further climate change? Some of the changes are probably not even reversible, but at least we can prevent further climate change if we all work together. But how IFCC can do that, I'm not sure at this time. We have to discuss it within the board, but perhaps other major, the federations, the FLM and others could look into this as well, and be happy to hear from any of you if you have any suggestions.
Thank you, Khosrow. And anybody else want to comment on this issue? Certainly an important issue, but it is a little overwhelming for sure. There is one request. I'd like to pass it along to those that are listening, and that is that if all of you would send information relative to your federation along to the IFCC e-news, so we can keep others involved of the many exciting things that are happening within your individual societies and within your region. So again, please send the news along to your news, your updates along to the IFCC e-news. There was a follow-up question as well from my good friend John Anator, asking about assistance with the purchase of equipment and consumables at reduced rates. I'm not sure if that's something that IFCC can do. Obviously, we can communicate with our corporate members and see what can be done to make these technologies, this equipment and consumables available. And within the specific task forces, we will be doing what we can for newborn screening. We have the task force around quality, external quality assurance and internal quality control, and we're working to develop programs, affordable programs there. It is a big issue, and certainly wherever we can, IFCC will do what we can, and we'll encourage our corporate sponsors to do what they can. But we realize that for many of the developing countries, the lack of funds, the lack of technology, the lack of programs is really a financial issue, and it's probably not something that we can solve on our own, but we do realize the problem. We'll do our best to support where we can.
Thank you. To add to that, David, I think IFCC has very limited budget. The need in the developing countries are so huge that IFCC really does not have the resources to sort of help with that kind of thing. But perhaps local societies can discuss with their corporate representatives and try to find ways to reduce costs locally in some countries. IFCC would be happy to support that, but IFCC does not have the resources or the funds to, for example, help purchase or at discounted price, for example, kits or instruments. It's just way beyond our resources. IFCC is a scientific organization focused on the science of laboratory medicine and in vitro diagnostics. And so that kind of activity we love to do, but we don't have the resources for it. Please, Joseph, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Khosrow, thanks very much. Since I've heard corporate members being addressed several times here in the last 15 minutes, and since I represent all the corporate companies within the IFCC, let me just make a couple brief comments. I'm putting my hat on now mostly for Roche because I work for Roche. I know what Roche is doing, but I believe other companies are doing very, very similar activities. We are very, very sensitive to the cost positions within the developing countries. And I think this was highlighted very much due to the pandemic. So what I can tell you that Roche is doing is on the point of care, and I think David mentioned this, point of care is a very, very big focal point for our company, but it's also a focal point for other companies like Abbott and others. And I think you're going to start seeing more and more point of care solutions for many of the issues that are plaguing all countries, but of course developing countries. And these typically, as I think David mentioned, would be lower cost. The other thing that Roche is working on, and I would assume other companies are doing the same thing, is we are working on lower cost instrumentation that from the very beginning of design was focused for developing countries because of the need there. And it's not just the cost in developing countries, it's the infrastructure of purified water and air conditioning and et cetera. So we recognize this as a gap, and we are trying to close this gap. And there's lots of activity going on in my company, but I'm assuming in many other companies. So just to summarize, there's real instrumentation that's being targeted for the complexities of developing countries, but also I think there's an enormous focus on point of care.
Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate your comments and the efforts that your company and the other commercial companies are doing to address this issue. I have a specific question from Yusuf. Yusuf, are you able to?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yes, this is Professor Bilto, President of the Jordanian Society for Clinical Laboratory Sciences. I have really a comment on the very important question raised by Dr. Osama. This is a conflict of interest, not for the national societies, but it's also a conflict of interest for the IFCC. Suppose you have two national societies in a country, and one national society go to African Federation and the other goes to the other federation. What is what you could do for it? And I'm sure what Osama is saying is very possibility that in Egypt or in Morocco, there are more than one or two societies, and there is a competing interest between them. So what the IFCC could do for this problem?
Yeah, thank you. You've actually helped me understand this issue a little better now in terms of, as you say, different societies within the same country moving belonging to different federations. That does complicate things a little bit more. And with that explanation, maybe I'll suggest that we will discuss this at the EB meeting, and we encourage you to have discussions within your group. And we'll maybe all try and get together and talk about this as a group once we've had some time to think about it. But thank you for elaborating on this, because I certainly understand the question much better now than I did before.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I have a question from Dilar regarding the activities and the objectives around the development of evidence on the value and impact of lab medicine. And maybe I'll start by addressing this because I'm part of this task force. At least I'm the EB liaison, and I'm very interested in this area myself. As Khosrow indicated earlier, one of the important issues around promoting the value of lab medicine is to have good evidence. We talk about evidence-based lab medicine, evidence-based healthcare. Well, when we want to go to other individuals, to other groups, and we want to talk about the value of lab medicine, we need good evidence. So this task force is put together to help identify the evidence that already exists in the literature and elsewhere, as well as to help organize good scientific research projects that will generate evidence that we can then take and offer to other healthcare individuals, professionals that don't know about the value of lab medicine, that we can take to hospital administrators, that we can take to politicians, to the government, and then to the general public. One, to make them aware, again, of how important lab medicine is. We know about it, but amazingly, many people don't realize about the importance of lab medicine. We're always in the background, and it's not clear to people what we do. So when we have the evidence, good hard evidence, we're in a better position to convince people. So this task force will start out by gathering the evidence that exists, and then we'll be encouraging hospitals and other groups to conduct specific research projects that will generate this evidence that we can use. So I hope that explains what this task force is going to do. Khosrow, did you or anyone else want to comment on this?
Yeah, thank you, David. So yes, this is really important initiative. It's sort of part of our effort to increase or establish evidence on value of lab medicine. We know there is huge value. There's typically, as you know, it's claimed 70 to 8% of clinical decisions are influenced by lab testing. But when you look at the literature, we actually had a task force 5 years ago looked into this. You couldn't find a lot of direct evidence. There was a lot of reviews on the topic, but no really direct clinical study, not, some, but limited number that looked at a specific test. For example, cardiac markers. How are they impacting patients with cardiovascular disease or diabetes markers? We know the impact is huge, but the evidence has not been fully established, published. So the idea is this task force will try to establish and publish that evidence, either review the current evidence and report that, or start new studies. For example, we're hoping to have, for example, hospitals in Europe, hospitals in North America, hospitals in Asia, in Africa, Middle East, everywhere, do studies on similar topics, for example, cardiac markers, troponin, NT-proBNP, and so on, and specific clinical conditions, and then obtain evidence. Initially, retrospective studies are easier, and IFCC is willing to cover costs and perhaps provide grants, research grants, to make it possible. So we will not only form a task force, we actually have a budget that we will support studies. So if you have proposals, then you could submit that to this task force. The task force membership will be confirmed this very soon because we had nominations, 13 nominations, and we have selected about 6 people. And so this new task force will begin shortly, and then it will take a couple of months, but later they will be ready to receive proposals. They may also contact you directly to start a dialogue around the studies. So we're actually hoping to do studies around the world in different hospitals and laboratories. So stay tuned.
Thanks, Khosrow.
Thank you.
We have a very interesting question about IFCC working groups or plans with respect to potential error detection in the post-analytical phase. And I think that's an interesting question, and I've certainly read about this. I think many of you are aware of it. Sometimes it's not just errors in so much as does the report go to the wrong place, or was there the wrong reference range associated with a result, etc. But I think it's a bigger issue. I think, are we making the results? Are we making it as useful as we can, so that the most information is obtained from the results? Are we getting it there at the right time? Are we getting it to the right people? Can we do more in this post-analytical phase? Anna talked about the pre-analytical workshop that they and meeting that they're conducting, but I think the post-analytical phase is also very, very important. Our emerging technology division is in fact working with IT, within a large IT group, to develop synergies within that group. Obviously, we rely on our computer systems, our lab information systems, and IT has become so important recently in lab medicine. There's great opportunities for us to work together and expand upon what we can do in that post-analytical area. So yes, we are doing some things, as I mentioned, and I think there's much more that can be done. I encourage all of you to make suggestions with respect to symposia and presentations and investigations. And as I said, we are looking specifically within the emerging technology group to see what we can do in collaboration with this large IT group. Khosrow, anyone else wanted to comment on that question?
Thank you. That's great.
All right. Well, I don't see any other questions right here. Sylvia's helping me out to see. Certainly if there's, we have Anna has her hand up. Anna, please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I would just like to add that EFLM has, there is a, first of all, I need to say that there is a well-working relationship between IFCC and EFLM, and that our committees, science committees, try to work together so that we don't overlap in our activities. And so the EFLM has, and it has been recognized by the IFCC, it has the working group for post-analytical phase. And this working group actually was very active, and they have focused on several very important aspects of the post-analytical phase, like the reporting, you know, how to report certain tests, the units of reporting, the way that report should look like, to whom the report should be communicated, and then interpretative comment and stuff like that. And they have published quite a lot of papers. So if you're interested, you can go to EFLM website, and under the science committee, there is a working group on post-analytical phase, and you can find all their papers there. And
Thanks,
all ideas are welcome. If you have some ideas for new projects, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, no, that's great. That'll be good information, and I think it's still an emerging area where there's very exciting things that can be done to make that information, or make the data, make it better information, make it more useful information for patient care. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I should add that a major part of post-analytical phase is appropriate or correct reference ranges or reference intervals. And so one of the, I think the major source of error in post-analytical phase is using the wrong reference range or outdated reference range. Many labs change instrumentation, they change assays without updating the reference range. This is for adults and children. And in pediatrics or geriatrics, or even for pregnancy, maternal health, many times the reference ranges are not appropriate. And so this is a major source of error. So it's great that EFLM has a focus and a group working on this. And now we have this task force who's going to be working on creating a global reference interval database to address the need for correct, up-to-date reference ranges. So I think it would be great for that group to work with the EFLM group closely and others in other regions to ensure that we have appropriate post-analytical interpretation using correct reference intervals, up-to-date reference ranges. Anyways, there is a lot of work to be done in that area, and IFCC is trying to get involved through this new task force on reference intervals.
Also, Thank you.
If I may add, Khosrow, just a second. We in EFLM are aware of the IFCC activity in reference ranges. So the post-analytical working group is not actually working on reference ranges, because we know that there is a very active committee on reference ranges, reference intervals in IFCC, and now this new task force. But we would be more than happy to join forces and share our expertise with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ana Maria. Actually, I think that what your group is doing is very complementary to what the task force and the committee on reference ranges is doing and will be doing in the future. So there is a lot of, links between, different aspects of post-analytical quality you're looking at. Is it a task force or is it a committee?
It's a working group. We have working, yeah.
So what your working group is working on and what our current committee is working on, and a new task force. The new task force will be more of a tactical team, try to develop it, bring data together from Europe, there is not a lot of good data available from Australia, from Scandinavia, from China, from Canada, from US and elsewhere. So, actually I saw quite a few nice studies in Africa as well. So the idea to bring the data together and create a database, ethnic specific in some cases, data, age-specific data, sex-specific data, and even data for pregnancy, like pregnant women. Right now, a lot of pregnant women, when they are tested, their results are compared to either non-pregnant females or even males. And so, so there are a lot of work to be done in this area. And so I see what EFLM working group is doing quite complementary to, because the other aspects of post-analytical quality are equally important.
Thank you, Khosrow. You touched earlier about the task force on global quality. We have a question from one of the audience members asking for a little bit more information. Perhaps you could expand on this task force, what its scope is, who will be participating, and a little bit more detail on that initiative.
The one on
global quality.
Oh yeah, so that group, I think I showed you a slide, has already started its work. If you like, I can maybe show you that again. I don't know if I still have my slides open. Yeah, there we go. Why don't I share that? Because it is an important question, because this is actually one of the major programs of IFCC. And I'm happy to tell you, this is the task force that's working on. I hope you can see my slide. So we have people. By the way, this shows you that we do have representation from around the world. As we had mentioned, we try to have global representation. So the chairs are Dr. Aman and Dr. Meng from Germany, from US. And then we have Canada, Australia, France, Brazil, India, Greece, France, UK, France, because of the expertise that in France, we have more members. Again, it's based on expertise. US, China, and our corporate members are based on US. So we have representation. Of course, I think we need to do more to have representation more from developing countries. But I'm happy to tell you this group is making great progress. 10 countries have already been selected after a survey. These countries are in different parts of the world. They currently do not have an EQA program, external quality assurance. So the idea is that we will help them start EQA. IFCC will actually provide at no cost quality control material for EQA and IQC, internal quality control. We also will be paying a partner, a company, to send material, to send also software. So quality control software for both in the lab and external quality assurance. So software will be provided, material will be provided, and training, of course, training will be provided. So, and all of that will be funded through IFCC, and we actually have corporate members interested in helping to fund some of this. So there is interest in working together with corporate members to help. These are developing countries that currently do not have programs in place. So that just shows you an example of what's happening. The program hasn't started yet, but it will be starting very soon. In the sense that a pilot is almost being organized. And so I'm hoping later this month or this fall, or maybe January, it will actually, the pilot study starts in 10 countries.
May I add,
that's all from me.
Khosrow?
Please, Alex, go ahead.
Maybe add to Pilar, to specific question. In our EQA lingo, it will be clinical chemistry and some very common immunochemistry, hormones, etc. Analytes, the control material will be compatible and commutable because are produced by major manufacturers, and the countries has been selected after a survey that has been sent in all IFCC members, not only in developed countries, but anyway, the developed countries that in development countries that replied has been selected by the committee.
Exactly. Thank you.
Well, that's the last of the questions that we have here right now. Before I turn it back to Khosrow, I just want to say I hope that I've represented your questions accurately. If you have any further questions, if you want to follow up on anything that was discussed today, please email us and let us know. And while the town hall will be a regular feature, we hope to do this, we plan to do this on a yearly basis. Again, don't necessarily just wait for the town hall to express your suggestions, your concerns, your questions. Please do keep in touch with us and let us know what we can do as an organization to benefit you, the members. And again, take advantage of your regional representatives that sit on the executive board now and are in a position to make sure that your concerns are raised at the executive board level. So with that, I would say thank you for your questions and turn it back over to Dr. Adeli.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you for helping to coordinate the questions. So we still have a bit of time. If there are more questions, feel free. But I would like to thank everyone for participating. This is our first experience with a town hall. We're going to try to, improve the structure of it over the coming months and years. So, but we hope to continue this dialogue. But as David mentioned, don't need to wait another year for another town hall. You can email us with any questions. You can contact any member of the board or any of the regional federation presidents or board members, national society presidents, if you have questions, if you would like, you have suggestions or ideas. I assure you, we won't ignore you. We will take it into consideration. We'll discuss it internally. Of course, we cannot implement every idea, but definitely we will seriously consider it. Actually, some of the programs you see that we are introducing, like newborn screening, like global lab quality, the live webinar series, and so on. These came after discussion and ideas that we were given, and we took those ideas and created these programs. And I'm sure EFLM and others are doing that as well. And a lot of these new programs are based on discussion and ideas coming from members. So please do continue to contact us with any questions. Also, submit articles. If you have, let's say, ideas about, we heard about global warming and we talked the climate change issues. Well, write an article, submit it to the e-news. We have a monthly e-newsletter, which is really well received because we have actually it's sent to 30,000 people around the world. We have emails for 30,000 31,000 emails. Sylvia. And Sylvia, I have to thank Sylvia Colanzi, who has been excellent coordinator of this for many years now. And Tahir as the chair of the CPD, and Katerina as our IFCC news editor, and many others who are helping to make it possible. The newsletter is almost like a book. It's almost 40 pages each time. But because we have a lot of contributions from different countries, and we have news on it. If you're not receiving the newsletter, just go to the ifcc.org, and on the right-hand side, there is a place to register your email. If you register your email, you'll receive it directly every month. You'll also receive other news. Anyways, so please do submit articles. If you have ideas, you like to explain what you're thinking, and you want to, promote a certain cause, well, the best way is to write a short article, submit it to the, or even a longer article, and submit it to the e-news. I also want to encourage every regional federation and national society to consider submitting as much as possible to the newsletter. We also have, of course, our IFCC website, and we can promote things on there as well. One last thing I wanted to say is that please do submit proposals for webinars. We have actually been receiving quite a few proposals, and that's why you see webinars all the time. And now we have it almost every 2 weeks, sometimes even more often. That is because many groups are now working with IFCC to organize webinars. These are all funded by IFCC and provided at freely. And we have actually, many of the webinars have 3,000-4,000 attendees, so very well received. What's more impressive is that webinars are being listened to by thousands of people from over 100 countries. There are actually countries listening who are not even members of IFCC. So this just shows you that actually this live webinar series is the way to go to provide educational programs around the world. And we're hoping to enhance that even further. So, so maybe I'll just hand it to you, David, for any last minute comments, but thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Khosrow. Again, this was a wonderful opportunity to meet many of you and to hear from you, at least virtually. But I do want to remind you all again to please do your best to promote attendance at the Euromed Lab later in the year and to World Lab next year. I recognize that many of you are unable to travel right now, but for those that can, we certainly look forward to seeing a good attendance at that meeting, and once again have the opportunity to network with you and our friends and colleagues in person, which adds so much to the event. So for me, I want to say thank you. I do want to ask the other board members if anyone else has any comments, or anyone else that's on the line has any closing comments. Now would be your opportunity before we wrap it up.
Yeah, yes, any board members and any of our presidents, regional presidents, please, if you would like to have any last minute comments or words, please go ahead. We do have time.
Khosrow, can I just make a comment? Is Rajiv Erasmus here?
Please do, Rajiv, go ahead.
Yes, so first of all, I just wanted to congratulate the EFLM for the excellent work they are doing. I think they've really laid out a blueprint for many of us to perhaps to emulate. I think that's really great. The second thing is, can Khosrow just elaborate a bit more information on the proposed Global Lab Professional Week that the IFCC is working on? I think it might be a good idea to share some more information regarding this at this forum. Over to you.
Thank you. I will do that, but let me first ask Ana Maria and Osama if they have any words, and then I'll actually show you some information on that since we have time. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Professor Adili. This was a good opportunity for us to see you and see our colleagues from different countries that they are well. We hope to continue such meetings in order to gain ideas and to negotiate their experiences and to get the best from what they do, and to not let the pandemic to be an obstacle for our job and our work towards the benefit of our colleagues from different countries, and meanwhile for the profession. Really, I would like also to mention that there are many ideas that should be negotiated. I don't know how, but we can send to you directly as the president of the IFCC in order to see how these ideas may develop the work of the job of the IFCC towards updating everything in the IFCC, not to stay in the same manner. And I see that all the time there is a new updates concerning the IFCC in the structure, in the procedures, in the philosophy, in the strategies. So we hope to go ahead in all of these for the sake of the profession and those who work in this profession. Thank you again, my colleagues.
Thank you. Anna, did you want to have any closing comments?
Thank you. Well, just once again, congratulations to Khosrow for this fantastic initiative. I have to admit, I was a little bit skeptical how this would work in the beginning, but you were wise and visionary, President, and it really worked excellent. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to present the FLM activities. And I think this is a great opportunity to share experiences, to discuss future projects and work for the benefit of our profession. So thanks again. Wonderful event.
Thank you very much, Anna Maria, Osama, and Rajiv for attending, and also all of our National Society presidents. In answer to Rajiv's question, I just wanted to let you know we have a working group. By the way, we'll be sending you a call for nominations for regions, for each region to appoint a representative to this Global Lab Week working group. But in the meantime, I can show you what we are doing. I'm going to show you, share the objectives of this program. This is another new program. And the idea is to celebrate lab medicine around the world. So, and work with all of you to do this, all regions and all societies. So let me try to share my screen. Just 1 second, please. So I hope you can see my screen. So the idea is to develop an IFCC Global Lab Medicine Week. The aims, the vision for this is to celebrate, as you can see, celebrate the critical role of lab medicine and lab professionals in public health and patient care. And do this not just once a year, but we will have we're working on a week in April where this would be a focus week where we will be celebrating and using videos, using webinars, using pamphlets, using young scientists and many of you to help promote in every country in April. But we're also hoping to do this at different conferences. So do it at the World Lab, at the Euromed Lab, at every regional conference, every local conference. This is the overall vision. But the theme of this year, of course, is the important role of labs in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic and the sort of the public health role of IFCC. And not just IFCC, it's actually IFCC just the sort of the organizer, but it's really lab medicine and lab professionals and their role in this. And we have many, many objectives. This has been decided on by the current working group. Rajiv, Dr. Rajiv Erasmus is the co-chair, and I'm co-chairing with him. And we are trying to, and we have a number of people from other countries involved, but we are going to have a call for nominations from each region. By the way, we're also going to have corporate members invited, as well as champions from around the world. What we call is Global Lab Week champions. So every society will be invited to nominate one or more so-called Global Lab Week champions. They will be the ones who will help us implement this program. So anyways, the idea is to really, there's more information. Now, this will be sent at some point to you. It's not quite ready yet, but you will all receive the details soon. But the idea is to celebrate and promote and make more visible the important work labs are doing and lab medicine professionals are doing. So that's all. Rajiv, perhaps you want to add anything to what I was just mentioning?
Can I add something, Dr. Adili?
Yes, please.
It's my pleasure to inform you that we celebrate in Palestine. Before we are an IFCC member, we celebrate this week. Because it is, I read about it in the United States, really. They celebrate it since more than 30 or 40 years. We put the idea in our minds, and every year, the last week in April, we celebrate the National Medical Laboratory Week in Palestine. This week, it ends in the 1st of May. The 1st of May, you know, this is the Labor Day. The Labor Day is a vacation. So in this day, we make it a vacation for our family, laboratory medicine family, call it, and we make a big celebration for all of them and their families in the last of the week. And each week, in this week, we put more than 100 activity, humanitarian activities, economic activities, scientific activities, all the activities that raise the awareness of the importance of laboratory medicine and the health of the people. So I am very proud that you have to put this as one of the objectives of the IFCC. And I would like to be part of the people who are working in this team for this week due to my experience in celebrating this week here in Palestine. Thank you very much for this.
Happy to have you on the you know, whenever we will send you a letter soon and we'll invite you to nominate. It would be great if you yourself is interested because you have direct experience. Actually, Palestine, but also a number of other countries are doing some activities. The idea of this program to bring everyone together again and to have a global program. As you mentioned, US colleagues in the US have been doing this for decades. Actually, there is also a small program in Canada, but in US, there are 17 societies, 17 different societies that work together to celebrate Lab Week in the US. And they have actually done some international activities. Our idea is to involve IFCC and involve the regions, all of you, in this program. So do it together, basically, and do it at a global level. Any other comments? Rajiv, anyone else?
I think just to add on to what Khusro is saying, I think this is really a unique opportunity for the IFCC, not just to share what lab professionals are doing and how we have contributed to the health landscape, but also to make people aware of IFCC, because I think not many people seem to know about the IFCC and the great work they are doing. So I think through this exercise, we can also, it will sort of be aiming at two birds, you know, and I think we will achieve dual outcomes by using this to promote the IFCC globally and to make people aware of what we are doing. And I think this will also be an opportunity for us to network with international organizations and international departments of ministry, in many countries, especially in South America, Africa, and Asia as well.
Exactly. Thank you, Rajiv. Certainly, it would be a great opportunity to not only promote IFCC, but all of the federations, EFLM, AFCC, AFCB, and others. So this is a win-win for everyone, including corporate members. I think that's why I think there is a lot of interest from corporate members to collaborate on this project. So anyways, it's something we should have been doing for years, but Americans actually have done a great job and continue to do. And we're sort of complementing what they're doing by doing similar sort of programs in other countries and regions. Actually, there's some countries in Europe who are already doing it. Like I heard France has a program and others I'm sure do. So this is not necessarily new, but what we're trying to do is do it together. Do it at a global level. By the way, we are recruiting a company, and IFCC again is investing funds to prepare professional videos, for example, interviewing physicians about the importance of labs, interviewing patients, and other ways to promote what we're doing. So we will be using a media company to be helping prepare professionally, designed videos, pamphlets, brochures, and other things. We're going to be also doing a lot of social media campaigns. And that's why we really need to work with our young scientists. So you will hear more about this soon. You will be getting letters. First, the regions will be asked to nominate. Then we're going to contact all national societies about champions, sort of recommending specific people who will work to implement the program, and so on and so on. And of course, corporate members. We are going to discuss it next week with corporate members and invite them to participate as well. Okay, well, thank you very much. I think, I know we're all tired. It's almost 3 hours. It's a long meeting, but it was really helpful to bring people together. I hope you found the town hall helpful. But as David mentioned, please do write to us if you have any suggestions. Don't wait for another meeting. We will have more discussion at the upcoming European meeting at the Euromed Lab and the World Lab and others. So there will be other opportunities to meet and discuss things. But please do write to us with any ideas, suggestions, complaints, concerns, anything. We would like to, I think the current IFCC board is really focused on increasing transparency. And as Anna Maria mentioned, transparency is very important to ensure that you all understand what we're doing and that there is no hidden agenda and that we are trying to work with all of you. So thanks very much. So thank you all. If there are no other comments, we'll close this. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.